I got my hands on the Surreal Skin Concealer by Makeup by Mario. He says this is the latest and greatest invention in history, so we're gonna find out. It retails for $29, which is it's what concealers cost nowadays. It's not a terrible price. It's a good price. Bottle looks like the Surreal Skin Foundation. It's claiming to be medium coverage, caffeine infused, blurring, depuffing, multi-use. You can use it around the face, not just under your eyes. It's a natural finish. I kind of find it to be a little bit more on the matte finish. It claims to be long wearing, good for acne prone skin like myself. Basically, it claims to be the perfect concealer. The shade range is a little disappointing on the light side. This is the second to lightest shade, and I don't consider myself to be the fairest of them all. I'm very yellow based, and I'm usually a little bit higher up on the scale. I'm usually like a 3 or a 4. I just couldn't find the perfect shade. It's not very liquidy at all. It definitely has hold to it. It's not going to drip down. It feels slightly creamy and tacky to the touch, but not a lot. Yeah, it feels pretty normal. The coverage is there, as you can tell. I have a full review on the Makeup by Mario Surreal Foundation, so I'm going to leave that linked. Without further ado, let's jump into the demo, into my first impressions, and make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Alright, so let's open it up. First impressions on the Surreal Skin Awakening Concealer. I am wearing right now the foundation in 3W and the concealer is 140. Kind of how it looks. The concealer is a lot lighter, but that's fine because we're going to bring some light into our skin. We're going to brighten. I will admit that it was kind of hard to find my shade. I felt like nothing felt right. 140 is supposed to be a light warm, which is fine. I'm very warm. The 120 was way too light for me, and that's the lightest shade. I'm not used to being the second lightest shade, so I think the color range for light skin tones might be a little off. 160 was too pink, and then 180, it was a little bit dark for me. I went with this one. Let's see if it works. Have one layer of the Surreal Skin Foundation. I do have a little bit of a breakout. I am going to use a concealer to kind of see if it works for that. All right, so I'm going to put a little dot there. I already did my full makeup, so we can clean up and kind of like sculpt out the face. I have a concealer brush from Real Techniques. I wanted to use a brush like this because it's very affordable, accessible. I feel like a lot of people might have a similar style. Go ahead and diffuse. It's light. It is not a hydrating concealer, I can tell you off the bat. I can definitely see why they call it self-setting, because it is not hydrating at all. It feels matte already, like it's not reflecting any light. I feel like you only really need a little bit. I think the coverage is pretty much spot on. I would go back and apply a little bit more blush. I feel like I lost that with the concealer. I do see my fine lines, and I feel like the color on me looks a little gray. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a great shade. I think it's too light to use up to cover my pimples though. So I do feel like it looks pretty good. I think there's gonna be a lot of people who like this kind of formula. It's self-setting, so you're not gonna need to powder it. So if you hate powdering your under eye, you might like this concealer. It's not the most natural. It definitely looks like you have concealer on. I don't really want to powder it because I do feel like it's just gonna start looking super cakey if I do. I'm gonna use this to just set the areas around here. I'm gonna go ahead and just try and cover those pimples. I'm gonna try and tap with my finger. I mean, it's covering. I just don't think it's my right skin tone, so I wouldn't use it like this. It's a very different formula. I'm kind of like at a loss for words. I don't really know how to properly describe it. I think it's decent. I'm not sure if I am obsessed with it. Overall, I think a lot of people are going to find this concealer drying, heavy, because it's definitely not lightweight. I wouldn't say it's a bad concealer though. I just think it has its place. If you can find your proper shade and you like a heavier beat, a full coverage beat, you would probably enjoy this concealer. It's really hit or miss. I really think that you have to personally try this concealer in order to see if it fits your needs and your preference. I don't think it's gonna replace my NARS Creamy Concealer. I think I do prefer the consistency of the NARS one, but I'm excited to give this a go. I'm excited to try it out for a full day, test out how it wears throughout the day, see if it creases, if it moves. All right, so this has been my first impressions. I'm gonna go ahead and leave a wear test. So I've been wearing the concealer for basically more than 8 hours, and you can definitely, the rest of my makeup is pretty much gone, but you could definitely see around here that it's very long wearing. However, this camera is very obviously low quality because it's the iPhone, but it's definitely creasing. I don't really love how it makes my fine lines look within like a couple of hours of wearing, and throughout the day I think they become more prominent. I did use an eye cream and a little bit of powder because I feel like even though it is self-setting, it does need a little help. It is really drying and really matte, and I don't find it to be my favorite formula. Yeah, those are my final thoughts.